Come on, Blaine. Which one? That's ragweed parthenium. So scientific name is Parthenium hysterophorus. So other common names include false ragweed, Santa Maria feverfew. It's got so many names around the world, they put it in a big chart. I couldn't list them all. So it's widely distributed around the world, has a huge impact. Um, it's called famine weed, actually, in South Africa. So it's a long-lived annual herb in the family Asteraceae. So it's a sunflower family, but I don't think you could be planting this for doves. Uh, Native to tropical America. So it's introduced in Louisiana. So I did some digging. The oldest record I could find from a collection was in 1871 in New Orleans. Was the oldest record I could find in the herbarium. So it currently occurs in 26 states. It's present in more than 50 countries. So this weed is a weed of global significance. A severe problem in Asia, Africa, and Australia. Initially a problem in pastures. Impact on ag production can be tremendous. For instance, in Ethiopia, 97% yield loss in sorghum. In India, where it's one of the world's worst weeds, in India, 40% yield loss in rye, 63% in tomato, 90% in sorghum. So in Pakistan, it actually caused regional food shortages. It's a big deal. So it can have allelopathic effects on crops. So where it releases chemicals into the soil that can affect the crop growth and yield. Um, so in animals, it can cause digestive and metabolic derangement in livestock. So if dairy cows eat it, the milk can oftentimes be bitter. In humans, it can cause allergies, dermatitis, asthma, hay fever. So in Louisiana, it's pretty much present everywhere. Row crops, roadsides, ditch banks, lawns, pretty much everywhere. A couple of weeks ago, I was at Farm Bureau in New Orleans. Saw a vacant lot on Canal Street, and what do you see growing there? Ragweed parthenium right in the middle of Canal Street. So it's pretty much everywhere. Really started becoming an issue in row crops 2017, mainly in soybean, corn, and cotton. So in Australia, it's a weed of national significance in Australia. They even have quarantine zones. Vehicle washdown stations. They have signs on the road that say Parthenium weed. Please stop the seed spread. So a little research. If the rate of spread in Australia continues until 2050, the economic loss could be $72.2 million per year. So it's a big deal. Such a big deal that they employed biological control agents to try to manage it. So 9 insects, 2 pathogens. So I hope we never get it that bad. So a little bit about the biology. So it starts out at a basal rosette during the seedling stage. Uh, Rosette growth habit. Stuck in the mud here. So it starts off as a basal rosette, kind of flat to the ground. This is the time you want to control it. I know y'all not going to go control weeds this small in the field, but this is the best time to control it. Glyphosate and 2,4-D will control it when it's this small. So has an erect growth habit. The stem can get kind of woody, so you can see it growing upward and out. Can grow up to 6 feet tall in some instances. Can't really survive a severe frost. So it reproduces only by seed. Can you, Mr. Juan, how many seed do you think per plant? 15,000 average per plant. Can get up to 25,000. So it only reproduces by seed. However, I have seen, like, if you burn it back with a herbicide, it'll grow back from the stem. So I have seen some vegetative, regrowth from the stem with some herbicides. Seed can move by water. We don't have a lot of water in Louisiana, do we? Equipment, animals, wind. The seed can survive up to 8 to 10 years in the soil. So one fun fact is if you do a lot of deep tillage and bury the seed below 2 inches, that can hinder emergence. So can germinate year round in Louisiana with our hot, humid conditions. It needs a lot of moisture. Mainly germinating from March to October. I've seen it, throughout the years. Like I said, high moisture is needed for germination. It's really drought tolerant, fast growing. So from germination, it can start entering the reproductive flowering stage within 2 months. So very fast growing weed. Not really a problem in sugarcane in Louisiana. We use rely heavily on pre-emerge herbicides. So Command, Metribuzin, Diuron, Atrazine do a good job keeping it in check pre-emerge. In Florida, that's a different story, where they rely heavily on early post-emerge herbicides. It can be a problematic weed in Florida. Um, they manage it with mainly like Armazon, mesotrione, Armazon metribuzin, Armazon atrazine, um, mesotrione atrazine, things like that. Does a good job on it. It is resistant to glyphosate in Florida. That was confirmed in 2014. We don't have confirmation here in Louisiana yet, but I suspect it is, because this was treated with Roundup Paramax 3 2 weeks ago at a quart. This is 2 quarts of Roundup Paramax 3 2 weeks ago. So it's suspected to be glyphosate resistant in Louisiana. So, like I said earlier, it's best to control it in the rosette stage when it's small, up to about 6 inches. We treated these plants 2 weeks ago when they were about 6 to 8 inches. Glyphosate and 2,4-D will control the small plants. So, like I said, these plants were dug up from the field behind me. This field was worked a couple weeks ago. You can see some starting to come back. Some of the bigger plants out there starting to come back. We dug up 30 plants in this field, potted them up, and then sprayed them with different herbicide treatments. So this will spray 20 gallons per acre using flat fan nozzles. We got good coverage. So this is the non-treated here, not sprayed with anything. Like I said, Paramax 3 at a quart, Paramax 3 at 2 quarts. This is sharpened, cyflufenicil. It killed it within 3 days. It's very sensitive to sharpen. However, you can mix that with glyphosate. However, keep in mind in sugarcane phyla, there's a 4-month plant back restriction for sharpen if you're using it in phyla. So keep that in mind. This is Reviton. Tiafenicil did a good job. It's really sensitive to these PPO-based herbicides. So if you're looking for a fast kill, those are some options. This is Liberty Ultra at a quart. Does a really good job on that. So one thing to note on Reviton, it'll also kill small itchgrass up to 6 inches. I've done some work with Reviton last year, looking at it as a post-directed option in sugarcane. Didn't see any negative effects on yield. I've got some more trials looking at that this year. The league and I just submitted our 4 application for Reviton to try to get it labeled as a post-directed option, kind of like an ad lay-by, after lay-by, to control small itchgrass. R4 is the program that Tricera went through to get labeled. Liberty Ultra is currently in that program. Should be getting a label for it within the next 2 to 3 years if I had to. But you know, those processes are very slow. All right. We did add MSO to these, to the Sharpen and the Reviton, and Liberty had the AMS with it as well. Didn't have enough room on the label to put that. So switching gears, this is 2,4-D, 2,4-D amine at a quart. As you can see, 2,4-D is pretty weak on it. Like I said, it'll control it if it's small. This is Clarity, dicamba at a pint. Does a really good job. It's just slow on it. And this is Weed Master at a quart. You need to have at least a quart of Weed Master. The way your dicamba rate is 8 ounces, you have a 24-ounce rate of 2,4-D. This is Tricera at 45 ounces. As you can see, compared to the non-treated, it did, it stunned it, burned it back, but it didn't kill it. I don't anticipate it's gonna work. Yes, sir. 6 to 8 inches. Just about to start flowering. Really, I'd like to, control them when they're smaller, but we couldn't really pick and choose, First, this one, it maybe would burn it back. I've never seen it on a plant that big. It probably would burn it back. Liberty's contact probably would burn it back pretty good. You'd have to be at that high end of the rate. You can. There's some papers showing it can be antagonistic on certain grass species, but I've mixed it with Roundup for years to try to control glyphosate-resistant pigweed, things like that. It's better on broadleaf than glyphosate. So, switching gears, I haven't forgotten about itchgrass. That's going to remain a top priority of mine to try to figure out something new for itchgrass, especially from a pre-emerge standpoint. So I've been in contact with cane industries around the world. Actually got a shipment of herbicide in from China last week. It got held up in customs. So it's used in cane industry in China. So I'm going to try it over here at planting to see if it works on itch grass, see if it does anything to the cane. So I'm like a mad scientist when it comes to itch grass. I'll try anything and everything. So um, some other trials I got going on. Still looking at command tolerance in the spring and at lay-by. What did I do? What did I do? Can you hear me? I think I hit mute. These darn mics. So looking at command in the spring on 299, 885, and at lay-by, going to take that trial to yield. Still looking at studies with the loofah, looking at some pot studies in the greenhouse, looking at pre-emerge herbicide. There's some interesting screening for Johnson grass herbicide resistance this year. I had 2 growers in Assumption saying that their Agilent Menvo wasn't working on the Johnson grass, and I collected rhizomes, rhizome Johnson grass, grew them out in the greenhouse, and I was able to kill them with 2 quarts of Agilos and a third of an ounce of Invo. So collected some from Point Capee last week to try to so I'm constantly screening for any potential herbicide resistance out there. I got a DC trip planned next month. A group of weed scientists from universities around the Mid-South. We're going to meet with chemical companies and EPA, basically talking with each chemical company to see what they have coming down the pipeline. My interest is going to be, will any of these products have a fit in sugarcane? I welcome any questions. Please call me anytime. My phone, my door is always open. If you want to come to the station, want to see any of my plots, just please let me know.
Much work has been done with Liberty